Hey guys! So today we are going to talk about team composition in the development team. So let's get into it. Now, maybe team composition isn't the right way to explain this, but let's talk about strengths. Strengths within a software team. Now, the other day I was talking to a subscriber or responding to a comment about the way that I think about priorities and the way that I think about different levels of programmers. And I have this mental little model of how I think about the different types of programmers out there. And I'm not talking about professionally, I'm talking about like where you are on the ladder of programming. And to me, there's three levels: where you are a software developer, you write software, or you're on a high level where you push the communities and you do presentations and you kind of advocate the different work practices and you kind of think up of processes and stuff of that nature. And then at the top level you have the people who actually build all the tools that we use at level 1 and level 2. Because I'm one of those people who are at like level 1. You could maybe make an argument that I'm at level 2, it depends. But as I said, this is my own personal thoughts about it. And it kind of sparked this interesting discussion between us about how team composition and individual strength is maybe not, in this subscriber's opinion, not the way that kind of gauge a person's strength as a programmer. Rather, it's a team type of effort that the team and virtually how well the software team works as a unit is the important part. That's the thing that he likes to focus on. And I was very impressed because he told me that he had the ambition to, within a few years, to become a team lead of some sort. And that's a great ambition. That's someone who, and being a developer himself, that makes it even better, because then he's the sort of person that I can truly respect. Because if he had told me that he's not a developer and he wants to be a technical lead, then then we're back to, I've said 100 times by now that if I'm going to war, I want my general to have seen combat. I don't want to work for, I want to work for someone. I want my team lead to be a developer. I don't want them to be a PowerPoint person. Because I need someone, I have no problems working under people who have no technical background, but in my experience, at least I personally work better if I know that my boss knows what I do every single day. That usually works out much better for me and my coworkers. Anywho, so we talked about this, the team versus the individual. And you see, in a few videos I've been telling you that I have certain ambitions that I want to be the best programmer I can be, and I try to focus a lot on personal growth and personal development and becoming the best that I can be, and that I advocate this as much as humanly possible to absolutely everybody. And then this kind of discussion, because that if you think about it, that kind of puts me in the position that I focus on the individual, and he focuses, or rather his perspective is that the team is the important part. And I absolutely agree when it comes to teamwork and so forth, that it's important that when you are part of a software team, that you stop thinking so much about yourself and you start thinking more about what's good for the team and the efforts there. And I have a few videos about this as well. And the reason why I believe this is because if you work as an island, if you just view yourself as a person within a group and not part of that group, it will infect your ability to, rather your priorities will be very different. You won't think about what's best for the product and what's best for everybody. You're going to think about everything from your own perspective and just you, and you're going to be very self-centralized, if you will. And that's not a good thing. But you see, the thing that we didn't really agree on was this perspective that the strength of the team is the important thing. And I won't speak for the subscriber, and of course this becomes now an argument from just my side, and I'm sorry for that. I can't really have the dialogue here so he can justify his entire perspective, but I'll give you my perspective, and hopefully that will be good enough. You see, the argument I made was that I absolutely understand that the team and the strength of the team as a whole is the important part, because at the end of the day, you are a software development team. The better your team is, the better the product is going to be, the faster you're going to work and all that stuff. And it doesn't make sense to have a single individual in that team be like a super genius coder and everybody else is like, you know, they can't really keep up, and you only focus on that one individual. But the way that I see it is more in terms of balance. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that it's the same, think of it as in sports. Yes, it is true. Let's say that you play football or something of that nature. If you have a star player and that person plays with a bunch of people whose abilities are vastly much lower than that star player, yes, the team as a whole will suffer. And that's something that a good coach will understand. And the mentality is not to try to figure out a way to, how do I put it? It's not about trying to have like some star player who works as an island in the team. It's about having a team that is so balanced and where each player's abilities complements the other player's abilities, but also that their overall ability is as close as possible. So because say a team that when you're buying players and stuff of that nature, a coach will not try to buy, at least that's what I think, it seems to be the case. You won't go and like a small time team will not go and try to buy some superstar player for their team, because the cost of buying that player is going to be immense, and the skill of that player is not going to be, you're not going to be able to leverage that skill because nobody else on the team can keep up with that person. And it's the same type of mentality I have around software development. The idea is that you need a team is only as strong as the individuals in the team. So if you have, you can look at it from the other perspective. What happens if you have the majority of the team, of your software team, is made up of super senior geniuses, and then you hire some person who virtually can't write code, right? What happens then? Well, there's a mismatch in the skill level. And that's a really bad thing. The individual, the less skilled programmer is going to either feel horrible, or it's going to create a lot of frustration with the really skilled programmers, because there's a mismatch. From their perspective, they're really good at what they do and that person can't keep up. From that person's perspective, they feel like absolute shit because they can't keep up. So the way that I see it is that there is a truth. I will never argue, because I actually believe that there is strength in numbers. Because if you can effectively work as a team, you will be stronger than you could ever be as an individual. But that's the key thing. You have to be able to work together. And I argue, in order for you to make an effective, strong team of people, regardless of its programming or not, the skills and the abilities of each individual has to be closely matched enough that it doesn't create friction between the members. Because at the end of the day, a team is just a group of individuals. And the strength of each individual is going to add to the sum of the strength of the team. If you have a bunch of people who are absolutely crap at what they do, yes, putting them into a team will make them maybe slightly better, but it's still going to be a shit team. So in my personal opinion, the approach that I have is that I try to be the strongest individual that I can be, and I want to work with people who have that strength and that passion to really better themselves and be the best that they can be. Because once you have those people, when you have the strongest, best individual that you can have, then the next challenge as the team lead now becomes, how do I make them work together? Because if you have a truly passionate individual working together with other truly passionate, skilled individuals, then you have the strongest team that you can possibly make. Weak individuals do not make a strong team. And strong, really, really skilled individuals that can't work as a part of a team will make a shitty team. The individuals themselves are still going to be very strong, but the team's overall strength, you won't be able to leverage it basically. And that's my way of thinking about this, like how you structure a software team. There has to be, as the team lead, you have to consider what level your programmers are at and with the different strengths and weaknesses of each person, and try to create a team where you don't just consider the skill of each individual, but it does factor in. You have to find people that will work, that have a similar skill level. Because as I said, you will create a lot of friction, especially in the salary department. Oh, good God. If you have some person who's getting paid a lot of money, but that doesn't like match up the skill level of the people who are working in the rest of the team, that's going to create a lot of friction. I've seen it before, where people start, because we compare every person I know, they compare themselves to other people. And the closest people are usually the first people you compare yourself to. I mean, everybody does it. So it's vital that each person on the team at the very least is okay with having the other people on that team, so that they feel that there's a mutual benefit to working as a part of this team. That's the way I think about it. So to summarize, my mentality is that a team is just a group of really strong individuals that work together. If you have that perspective, that, in my opinion and my experience, builds the strongest possible team that you can build. Have a great day.